is Chloe, and today I'm here to talk about my March stats and standouts, all my favorites for the month, as well as just the stats and all of that. Now, March was middle grade March, and I did middle grade hard. And so the reason why is because you guys know I have a 7-year-old daughter who reads constantly. Like she is, if she's not running and doing sports, then she's reading, and I cannot keep up with her. And so what I decided to do in the month of March is kind of do a middle grade. Like I got a ton of first in the series, and I'm trying to find some great series that then I don't have to pre-read every single book she reads, but I can find a good series, get her hooked on it, and just let her go. And so it almost feels like a try a chapter tag, because they don't take that long. And so yeah, it's been great. Now, I've almost wanted to not film this video because the stats look pretty outrageous. However, there are a lot of middle grades. So I just want to preface this with the standard disclaimer of my numbers look huge. The amount of books I read are huge. Please don't compare my reading to yours, and know that these are a lot of these books were middle grade. So yes, it's a certain number of pages. However, they're not like our full page. A page is not a page is not a page. So let's get into the stats. So in March, I read 49 books and DNF'd one. One of those was a reread, and that is crazy. I actually, somebody just asked me recently if I reread very frequently, and the answer is absolutely not. The only time I reread is when it is nonfiction that I feel like I need to learn something from, get inspiration from, whatever, or series. Like if I have read some books in a series and then I decide to go binge it, I will reread. And so the case with that one was the If I Run book by Terry Blackstock, and I have read that one before, and I read the first one again so I could read the whole trilogy. So there's that. It's 10,074 pages, and that's 325 pages per day. 206, was the average page length of my book. So there we are. If I read 128 page, which is what a lot of standard middle grades are, is 128 pages. So a bunch of those has definitely made it skewed our numbers. So it's about a book and a half a day. I read 10 with the kids and 39 solo. 23 were chapter books. So the majority of my reading, either by myself or with my kids, were chapter books. 23 were chapter books. 21 were novels. 3 were graphic novels. 1 was a devotional, and 1 was actually a picture book. And I don't normally talk about the picture books we read, but the only reason I did this time is because I got it from NetGalley, and it was a funny one. And so, I wanted to talk about it in case anybody was interested, and as a thank you to NetGalley for letting me borrow it. So 21 of my books were adult and 28 were middle grade. So definitely the majority middle grade this month, which is a really fun thing, but I'm kind of over it. 18 were from my shelf and 31 were from somewhere else. And so that is also not a stat that I love. 23 were from the library. 21 I used Libby either in conjunction or solely. 2 were Kindle Unlimited. 1 was NetGalley. 1 was Spotify, and 1 was just directly off my shelf. Then as far as format goes, I did read primarily physically because there were so many middle grades. So we have 24 physical, 18 audio, and 7 ebooks, which, that's a lot of ebooks. 7 were new release, meaning in the year of 2025, and the rest were all backlist. Let's see. My genres. So I keep track of genres on a spreadsheet, and I get stressed out about the genre thing all the time because it's so arbitrary. Like, what is a women's fiction versus a romance versus contemporary? What are all of them? But my top genres were contemporary, cozy mystery, which is what the Nancy Drew Clue Crew books are that I'm reading with my kids, women's fiction, mystery thriller, historical, and then it kind of trickles down. As always, I've got a lot: sci-fi, fantasy, nature, nonfiction, romance, humor. We've got a lot of different genres going on because that's just how it rolls. Then on Storygraph, it said my top 3, I think, 4 moods were lighthearted, mysterious, emotional, and reflective. Now, the past 2 months, my top 3 moods have been lighthearted, mysterious, and emotional in those orders, I think. And so that's really interesting. I clearly have a theme. Also, last month, February, I did not have the best reading month. I was feeling very bleh, and I don't feel quite as bleh after March. But I'm kind of wondering because a Storygraph says my pace was 41% slow, 32% medium, and 26% fast. So I really wonder if I switch that up. Like the Storygraph stats are helping me think of ideas of ways to like switch things up and experiment with my reading. If I switched that and intentionally had fast-paced reads, would I feel like I had a better reading month? Now, Storygraph does not have all of the middle grade books that I read, and so the stats, like I think there's like 4 or 5 books missing, but I mean for middle grade we're not worried about it. And yeah, I'm curious what would happen if I was more intentional about kind of catering to those stats. Maybe we'll see someday. I am planning to do a video comparing Goodreads and Storygraph because I've never used the Storygraph until January, and I'm using it. I'm not I would say Goodreads is still my primary, but I'm logging everything both places just to kind of see what features I like and what features I don't. I'm definitely not using Storygraph to its fullest potential, but I am going to do a video kind of comparing and contrasting at some point. I want to get at least like 6 months of use under my belt and see. So maybe this summer. Anyway, as far as star ratings go, like I said, I had the 1 DNF, 1 2-star, 3 2.5 stars, 17 3 stars, 17 3.5 stars, 10 4-stars, and 1 4.5 star. Average rating 3.36. So not great and very, very, very similar to February. But I don't feel as slumpy because so much of what I've read physically has been short time commitments, and so I'm like moving from thing to another. So even if it's not great, it's not like I'm spending a week on it. I'm spending a couple hours maximum. So I don't feel as slumpy, but yeah. And then my best books, honestly, you guys, I normally try to do about 5 best books, and I just couldn't. I couldn't think of 5 this time. Unless, actually, that's not true. I'm going to insert pictures because, as you might be able to tell, I have a baby on my lap, and just don't want to get the books and cause even more disruption. But the first one is Millicent Glenn's Last Wish by Tori Whitaker. So this is about a woman who wants to get to know her daughter better. Like she is nearing the end of her life. She wants to get to know her daughter better and for her daughter to really understand her. So we go walk through Millicent Glenn's life, and some of the things she went through had my mama heart and just my heart breaking, but I was so emotionally invested, and that's what I need to love a book. Another favorite was The Devil Wears Scrubs and The Devil You Know by Frida McFadden. This is a duology that is so similar. It's Frida McFadden, but it is not thriller. It is women's fiction, very similar to Grey's Anatomy, kind of. We follow a doctor and her beginning, like the first book is her beginning her residency, and then the second book is her as she is married and kind of still trying to do the doctor thing. But there's some romance in the first one with a surgeon, and it was just so good. And I expected I was not going to like it, and I loved it. Then The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Again, another one that I thought I would not like, and I did. So I read 21 adult books in March. And you guys, Devil Wears Scrubs and Midnight Library were both on a video of books that I thought I was going to hate, that were on my shelf that I thought I was going to automatically unhaul. So I did a try chapter tag to see, and now 2 of the 5 ended up in my favorites for the month. So if you have not heard about The Midnight Library, it is about a woman who just is having a really hard go of life. She is not really wanting to live anymore, and she goes to this limbo place where it's a library, and every book is a different choice she could have made. And so she gets to walk in her shoes as if she would have made different choices, pursued different career paths, personal life stuff, all of that. And it was so interesting. As always, I love that trope, and I had just heard that Matt Haig's writing style was kind of weird and that maybe it was a little too literary for me, and I didn't feel like I thought it was so approachable, so readable, and as always, it, like with that trope, it just made me think like, gosh, every little decision could matter. You never know. And of course, I liked like the overall message of just being content and letting your past make you who you are, good, bad, and otherwise, and accepting that. And then the last one is Don't Overthink It by Anne Vogel. So you have not heard me talk about this book, but this is a nonfiction book that I just read this week, and really liked it. I don't know when it came out in relation to The Lazy Genius Way by Kendra Adachi and oh my goodness, Oh no, I the one about habit stacking and the super duper duper popular book that I am completely blanking. Oh my gosh. You guys let me know. I can see the cover. It's by a guy, and I cannot think of it. Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits by James Clear. There it is. That's all it takes. It's just some time pondering. So it's a combination of The Lazy Genius Way by Kendra Adachi and Atomic Habits by James Clear. And because it's just talking about overthinking and how hard that is on your psyche, on every part of you, and just ways to stop overthinking. Part of it is kind of The Lazy Genius Way by like automating things. On Mondays I wear jeans and a t-shirt, on Tuesdays I wear slacks and a sweater, whatever, and meal planning, all that kind of stuff. And then also with like The Lazy Genius Way, she talks a lot about habit stacking, but also it goes just a lot into overthinking and how it doesn't help, but how so many of us are so prone to it, and very practical ways to kind of work through things. And so I really liked it. I love Anne Vogel, and I didn't know that she wrote more than bookish stuff. And so finding that was a huge win. So that is everything that I loved in March. It's 5 books if you count the duology as 2, which it is 2. So that's fine. Overall, reflections on the month. Like I said, I really enjoyed middle grade March. I'm ready to kind of tuck into an adult book. Although lately, like, sleep has been hard to come by. I feel like I say that all the time. Our schedules have been crazy, especially as spring's starting and all spring sports are starting and all of that kind of stuff. And so having physical reads that are short time commitments it's actually very pleasant. I just don't love, like, all of my personal reading is audio or like devotional. And I want some physical reading for myself that's not middle grade sometimes, but I don't know. There's a balance. I haven't found it yet. I'll let you know if I do. So that is my wrap up and stats. Like I said, it's an exceptionally high numbers month, but it's definitely inflated. So that's my thoughts. Let me know yours. If you've read any of the books that I loved, let me know. And that's it. We'll see you in the next one.